The police say nearly 7 crashes happen each day in the month of March. We got those statistics from the department's report card they just posted from last month. KLTV7's Katie Parker brings that total number of traffic stops, what might be causing those wrecks, and how police say they're trying to prevent them.
We let our numbers speak for themselves.
Longview Police Department recently posted their monthly statistics. There were over 4,400 traffic stops and more than 4,300 service calls. Priority 1 calls averaged a response time of 3 minutes.
I'll put our stats against anybody. In my personal opinion, we're the most premier law enforcement agency, especially in East Texas.
According to LPD, there were 210 crash reports in the month of March. That's nearly 7 crashes each day. LPD's public information officer, Ladarian Brown, says that's a consistent average.
I don't necessarily know the cause of majority of them this month, but I can say, distracted driving is always a problem that leads to accidents.
Brown says there was not a specific trend behind the wrecks in March. Several comments on a recent Facebook post mentioned traffic light timing and red light runners.
Running red lights is a problem that we've had, and yes, that can lead to crashes. A few weeks ago, we had an officer who was standing in the middle of an intersection in a median watching people run a red light, and the crazy thing is, people saw him and still ran the red light. The light is red for a reason. It means stop. With people trying to beat the light, that can add to a crash.
Brown says if you see reckless driving, call and report it.
You have to drive for yourself and the others on the road. That call could be the very thing that helps save someone's life. People need to know that if you come to Longview and you drive crazy, you're going to get stopped.
Katie Parker, KLTV 7 News.
The Longview Police Department says its goals for April are to bring down the number of crashes, total number of DUIs, that was 38 this past month, and to continue to educate the community on safe driving habits.